God he talks about turning hearts of stone into hearts of flesh. It's because your emotions caused you to become that heart of stone. It caused your heart to turn into stone. But there is a possibility, whenever the Bible gives you these, what from one thing to the other, it is always about possibility. You can either have a heart of stone or you can have a heart of flesh. Now you choose what to do. The product, or rather the ingredients that is required for the heart of stone are the same ingredients for the heart of flesh. It is just how you channel it. It is just, you can be very indifferent, you can shut down your emotions, or you can be clued into your emotions, but you will be able to bring it before God and allow God to help you maneuver through all of those feelings. I don't want to give you instruction on how to deal with conflict with your spouse, or how to handle things with your teenager, or how to handle emotions. Just as a person, it is not even about you being a woman. It is just as a person. You need to know that everything about you belongs to God in the first place. It is His. He gave it to you. Just like how He told you to have dominion over things of the earth, you are of the earth. He has given you dominion over yourself. And instead of having dominion over yourself, you give into everything else that you hear. Like the current language in the world, especially the kind of language that the West initiated and now that's been adopted over here, the whole you be you, your feelings are important, your emotions are important, you know, mental health. Yes, mental health is important. Please take care of yourself. Don't stress. Don't push yourself so, you know, out of clue with things that you are not. Your mental health goes out of whack. It's out of place, and you're not fine. But this space for mental health has created problems that, very honestly, are non-existent. I don't make less of anybody who's seeking help. I don't make less of your circumstance. I don't make less of what you've been through. I don't make less of what you are going through. But can I tell you something? God is more than enough to help you through all of these things. He is the God He's the creator of everything about you. The word that I started with at the start, that He memorizes you. He knows your inside and your outside. He knows your thoughts. He knows your being. He knows parts of your spirit that you are not familiar with. And instead of going to the master creator for things that we don't understand, things that are out of control, things that we need to find out, we instead say, you know what, God, I said a prayer, but I need more help. It is not good enough for me that, you know, you've given me all these promises. I need somebody. What happens when you go to a counselor? I am not dissing on counselors, okay? But anybody who has done counseling, anybody who has spoken to a counselor, the first thing they will do is empathize with you. You know what is empathy? Empathy is saying, yes, I know what you're feeling. It is valid. I don't want a God who validates my emotions. I want a God who elevates me from where I am. I want a God who elevates me, who gives me a perspective, of things that He sees. Why should I settle for any less? The kind of problems I'm talking about are very surface level problems, but there are people who have been through abuse in life. There are people who have been through challenges that you and I cannot even imagine. And even to them, I can confidently say, our God is more than enough. He heals the brokenhearted. He heals the brokenhearted. He last week when we were at a meal, and Vijay was discussing this with somebody, and he said, if you read the verses 18, 19 in Luke chapter 4, it says, He sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives. And a couple of sentences later, he says, and set at liberty those who are oppressed. So there are people who are captive and people who are oppressed. There are people who are captive by their circumstances and people who are oppressed by their own doing. And the Lord has sent Jesus to bring liberty to both. So if you have a situation that is out of your control, Jesus came to bring you freedom from that. If you have a situation that you messed up and you did it yourself, He came to bring you freedom from that as well. There is no situation that is out of your control. There is no situation, when I say out of your control, there is no situation that you have to give up on and accept as your final destination. It is not where you have to settle at. You have been called for more. You have been, this whole group, crowned with grace. Grace to do what? This is not the kind of grace that you see just, when you look at somebody, you say, oh, this person has so much of grace because, they're very gentle, they're very delicate. The kind of grace that we have makes us better warriors. The kind of grace that is over our life is for us to climb over obstacles. So why settle for anything lesser? Why look at your presence? If this lady in Zarephath turned around and said, you know what, prophet, thank you, but I don't know if my flour will not run out. I don't know if my jug of oil will not run out, and I don't want to find out. Elijah would have gone and found somebody else to bless. But it was her willingness to put everything on the line that made room for a miraculous hand of God. It was not normal. It is not normal for your groceries to not run out. What explains that? That too to a woman who does not know the God that Elijah was talking about. She was not somebody of the same mindset. She was not an Israelite. She had not served the God of the Israelites. But she was willing to do something that someone had not done before in her generation, in her family, that changed the history. She was the woman in Zarephath whose flour never ran out, whose oil jar never ran dry. That was her story. She was no more the woman and the son who were going to die. They were no more the people who were going to give up on life. They were no more the people who said, you know what, I'm done over here. But they probably went down in history in their town as somebody who made room for a man of God and had provision like they never could have had otherwise. And like I said earlier, Jesus spoke about, you know how amazing it is when Jesus talks about somebody? And if you go through the New Testament, there are not a lot of people that He has spoken of by name. He has always spoken of people from the past or people in the present by name. I think you can count them on the tips of your fingers. And those people have become lessons for us to learn from. So this lady who didn't know who she was, who didn't know what she was supposed to do, I don't think for the rest of her life she knew what she was supposed to do. Because very clearly in a few verses later, she goes and she gets mad at the prophet again. She's like, have you come just to kill me? Have you just come to do this? But again, the hand of God moved for her because she fed the prophets of God.